Welcome everyone to another week of character concept art drawing here with me, Jeff, here at Stitch Media, as I work on some concept artwork for the game Terrorarium that we're making. If you've been watching any of my past streams, you've come across these characters called the Moogu. They are the secondary main characters of our game. They are these mushroom guys that our main character, the gardener, tends to boss around and make them do her bidding. Sometimes it's that bidding might mean that it gets themselves killed. So what I'm doing right now is coming up with a second design for the Moogus. I'll show you the first one that kind of got approved and it's already made its way into like modeling and the animating portion. But right now, this other character, this other Moogu, I think the term we're using right now is the heavy Moogu, which means this type of Moogu sits on scales and platforms and weighs it down. It doesn't get blown by the wind, so it has different kind of attributes that are in play right now. And I'm right now just trying to get the look right about what this character looks like and how the shape, the silhouette, the design of the Moogu actually reinforces its attributes. So you know just by looking at it what to expect. First, I'll show you probably the second one that actually did move on up. So it's this guy here. And so this one, we're using it as a fire Moogu. So he's, you know, a bit faster, jitterier, harder to control in the sense of it's constantly kind of moving around, but sets things on fire. And it's kind of light, so it gets blown by wind in our game. So it's affected by the atmosphere a little bit differently than our other Moogu type. So right now he would be actually like reddish. I'm not sure if I have a color. Here's a color version. Let's turn that one on. I didn't really get too far in the coloring that, but it would have been something like, let's say, if I were to color him. So this is just a very quick, you know, test of like, you know, how would I approach coloring this guy. Not sure how it appears on your monitors versus mine. Yeah, so me and Maddie are one of our modelers here at the office. We were going through it today, trying to get this character to just look right. And one of the things we were having problems getting was, you know, going from 2D art into 3D. This is like I was doing a turnaround for this character, somewhat like this, and you know, doing the side. What does the side profile? What does the profile view look like? You know, how far out do the legs kind of jut out or spread out during from the front view versus the side view. It was pretty hard just to capture that correctly, both in 2D and 3D. And since I would do one in 2D and I think it looked great, but then she would put it in exactly the way it looks like in 3D, and the angles just wouldn't sit right. Like something would look a bit off. So we spent some time today just working out that, and we got the head of this guy all set up correctly. I think right now the only thing left is just really capturing the right look of the eyes. But let me go back to this guy. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty nicely. Um, and hopefully by maybe early next weekend, if you actually kind of probably follow us somewhere on social, probably our Instagram account, you probably see peeks at it, as in like how it turned out. So what I'm doing now is just kind of like quickly coloring the eyes just to give it a better idea of what this might look like when it's fully colored. What is the opposite of orange? Let's think about the color scheme and what it should be like. For these characters, so something like that. One thing I did kind of point out was that I wanted to have some markings on these Moogu. Actually, let's read this character. Kind of wanted to bring up this guy, and you see like, oh, he has some kind of like tribal markings on him. One of those, the idea behind that was that it should have, these Moogu should kind of look like, you know, they're just not some mindless creatures that follow orders, but they actually are kind of like, they have their own culture to them, which makes it harder to kill them in a way. It's like, oh, these are intelligent creatures and not just some dumb passive creatures. So let's say if I could just add some words here, like again, so just little markings like that tend to help denote little things about them, as in, okay, you know, that's not their skin, that's something they've done to and for themselves. So a little something like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I kind of like that. Let's see if I close the door quickly, sorry guys. So anyways, these are the first two guys. We actually ended up going away from the guy here on the right, the green guy, because he was a little too neutral in the sense of like there wasn't anything that stood out to him. Definitely a cute guy. I really like the way he looks. Unfortunately, we need a bit more from these characters. So right now what I'm going to do today for the rest of the hour is actually kind of come up with some new ideas for this guy. He's going to be the heavy guy once again. So having two different silhouettes really help reinforce knowing quickly at a glance what character you're working with, especially when we end up having a whole bunch of different reagent type Moogus. We all want to give them each their own unique kind of look, and part of that is actually knowing at a glance which one you have and you're using, not just in color, but again by silhouette, only because you're going to be flipping through them quite often. and not getting confused which one you are using just helps with gameplay. Oh, sorry, Vodka 7 Up. I have been paying attention to the Twitch stream. Yeah, sounding good. So far, haven't had a single audio problem, which is probably the first time, but now that I say it, it's probably going to happen. Are fire Moogu on fire? If so, will you draw the fire on it? You know what? I think that is a possibility with our new technical artist who's going to be working with a lot of our particle effects. I would love to get fire Moogu that are on fire shown, especially when when they run through, if they run through the bushes and catch things on fire. If they swap into like a heavy Moogu that is now in the bush catching on fire, it'd be good to show, just how environment really impacts the Moogus themselves. Yeah, so hopefully that becomes a thing. Let me work on this guy. So I'm gonna deactivate this guy. I'm gonna hide this guy. I'm gonna bring back these ones. So here I was playing around earlier, just shapes of the Moogu, something that stands out from far away, because they're gonna be really tiny on screen, and deciding like, okay, what works, what has a good shape to them, what kind of does resemble mushrooms without being too generic. Kind of the green guy. I like the green guy, but I'll agree that it doesn't kind of read as a mushroom unless I'm kind of, forced to say that, yeah, here's the top, here's the mushroom cap, and this little neck ridge. But yeah, so let me kind of figure things out. I do have some reference material of different mushrooms, actual live, earth mushrooms on the screen. So just kind of tapping through them, seeing what makes a good shape. So go back to this one. Actually, one idea I had earlier and I want to follow through on is using these kind of clunky, heavy, round feet. The fire Moogu, had proper knees, and then kind of feet that kind of show like, okay, yeah, this is how the body's gonna work. Whereas these ones, because it is the heavy Moogu, I would love it if it was just a kind of like elephant-like heavy moving set of feet that just kind of work like this in a fashion. You don't really see the defined knee joints and ankle joints, or toes. You won't see like toes either. You'll just be seeing this big area just going up and down. Yeah, so something like that I love. So maybe next week when I'm working with the animators, I don't think they'll be needing any kind of cell animated animations from me, guiding them on the walk cycle of these guys. I think they're all pretty good at understanding just by looking how things should move. Hope you don't hear this, but I'm putting on some music. I can listen to it one ear though. There we go. So I'm going to continue working on some shapes here. Just trying to figure out how this should unfold. I don't know. move this around just because I do like that shape. I want to keep that in mind, and then I'll organize these guys. And then erase. So the first thing up is really knowing the angles of, you know, how we're looking at these Moogu. And so I really should remember not to be drawing everything at a side profile, because we're never going to really see them at that angle. And so if I do that, which I have been doing in the past, you don't get a full sense of like what will the character look like on the screen. So here what I'm doing is like feeling free to be a little more cartoony and exaggerated with the shapes of things and the proportions of like the eyes to the actual head, you know, not feeling like I gotta be really constrained to making the eyes really small and proportional to what we're used to. Also, let's just be like, pull up some mushrooms here. So the first one we got, the Fire Moogu, had like a peak going on to the tip of the cap. I want to change that up for this one. I mean, you have a ton of different mushrooms. You have the rounded cap, you know, you got your, let's say, you got your peaked kind of mushroom cap. You also have your, let's see, a wide one. Sometimes you see a lot of wide mushroom caps. Just right here, what else do we find? Got your round ones. Looking for a nice shape that's readable. I think I actually might go with a wider brim one. The Fire Moogu right now is a bit taller. The cap ended up being something like this, like almost like 1 part magician hat, 1 part Deadpool hat, like a little nubbin type thing coming out the top. So I want to find one that's a bit wider and is definitely a different shape than that one. The problems I'm finding though with the mushroom concept itself is we really want to have them be expressive, and that means showing their eyes. I mean, yeah, you can get a lot of animation and feel of how they're reacting by how they move, like the bodies and how things might tilt, but a lot of it is still going to come through the eyes. And with the first version, the eyes were kind of underneath the cap, and because of that, our camera view angle is kind of coming down this way, so you couldn't really see past the cap itself. You generally always be blocking the eyes from that point of view. So what we did do is, again, we changed it so now the eyes appear on top of the cap, which is great. The downside is, for shapes like, you know, this and this, is it going to be this weird puddle frog of an eye thing, where it's very flat shape, but then you have these jutting eyeballs coming off on the top. Not so sure. I'm not sure how much I like that, so I'm trying to find a good middle ground of having the eyes blend in with the shape of a mushroom cap, but still have the mushroom cap being a little more flat, because that's how a lot of them are. I mean, yeah, I think I could do a different shape. There's a ton of tall mushrooms too, and how do I want to approach, a shape like that, and putting eyes on that? Would it be down there? Would it be if I just copy this? Let me just duplicate and show you some of the options. I can put the eyes down there. I can put the eyes for the part on the side, and how does that kind of create a totally different feel just by the placement of the eyes. I'll do one more time. And this time, probably up here. So down here, the nose kind of feels like that here. It kind of feels like I could put a mouth over there. How would that kind of work? And still have a body and some feet. Just working things out. But yeah, the main thing is, for this one, I really want to have a round mushroom cap. Want to have eyes on it, but I don't want the eyes to be kind of in the same plane of the cap. I need them kind of raised in a certain manner, or else if there was ever a side view, are the eyes just kind of looking like that? I don't want that either. So kind of figured things out, and that's what this hour is about. Figuring out how to use the second Moogu. This up by push down, push down. So going back to mushrooms, let's see what I had in the second one. I was being a little more adventurous in this one. If you look over here on the bottom right row, there's a picture of a Goomba that I drew just to make sure that if any of these guys ever come close to that shape, I need to change things, because that is one thing that I don't want to replicate, is the same shape of another mushroom from the most popular video game of all time. So I probably gotta watch out for something like that. Yeah, so might be quiet for just a little while while I kind of figure out what direction I would really want to go with these guys. So one of the things I didn't do with the Fire Moogu was at this kind of, I don't even know what it's called scientifically about the mushrooms, where you have its stem, but you also have like it's like a I don't know. In my mind, it's always like a collar. At least that's how I'm using it. That appears underneath the cap. So I think I didn't use it for the fire Moogu, but I think I'm going to do that for the heavy Moogu. So I'm going to try drawing this at a closer angle of what it would appear like in the game, just so that it looks good, at least how it will appear, versus good at one angle and not so great at the proper angle. And what I'm finding now is that it's nice to do some kind of topology, so I know how things would curve. I want to make this guy bigger so it's easier to draw. So as I said before, one of the problems is the camera angle of the game, how it's like a 3/4 view. You're looking down at a lot of things. So since the cap is probably the widest thing of the body, it's obviously gonna cover a lot of what you would see of the body itself. So let's say this was the body. Should I put this on a different layer? Say the body was right here and extends. Belly. Sturdy, clumpy feet. What we can't see is that bridge I really want to get, so let's veer a little bit. One thing that I haven't decided yet is where the mouths can be, if they're gonna have mouths, because they're gonna be so small on screen that you won't even really see them talk. Talking or with Maddie earlier today about the first movie, the Fire Movie, we kind of decided that the width of the mouth, the cap itself was, you know, made for just making it move kind of up and down itself. So that kind of acts as like at least an upper lip. This one, I don't really think it works as well with this shape, like this circular one versus the more spread out, laid out, flatter version of the Fire Moogu. So this time around, I'm not sure if that's the best call. And I think because it is flat, there's so much area to work with that we can actually put a mouth on this one, even if it was just like something like that. I mean, that's going on. The belly's going on a little too heavy. I mean, that is a very generic shape though, so I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I do like, again, the flat elephant type feet, but I think again, it's still a shape. I really want to find something that gives me a good silhouette. So I'll probably hide this one. Start fresh again. Keep going until I find one that I'm just like, yes. I'm guessing since nobody said they can't hear me, I'm guessing the sound is working okay. So with the Fire Moogu, when we were modeling earlier today, one of the problems was that I wanted the eyes to change a bit, as in they were very round and small. Well, I wouldn't say small, they're appropriate size for the head. It's just that the eyes were also very appropriately round for the head, and what that meant was when you're looking at the profile, you know, humans' eyes are like that. You just have, you know, it works. It's appropriate. The size and the roundness of that size and what you see of the eye is only this little part right there. On the Moogu, the eye, you know, being appropriate for the size, the head was also like that. But we didn't have eyelids on it. The kind of eyelid was kind of like that. So what you saw was this very, very round eyeball. And one thing I've noticed is like I don't really like that roundness on 3D characters, at least making them look that realistic proportionally. I kind of like that kind of Pixar flatter, bigger, broader, almost anime type eyes, where it would be something like, you know, it'd still be big, but there was a certain flatness to the eyes here. Like, this is the roundness of a normal eyeball. The Pixar eye, I find, is like this. Like, even if they were same height, the difference in roundness would be like that versus that, you know? And what that meant was enlarging the eye so you only see a small portion of it. Again, to get this part really flat versus really round. And that was a very lengthy spiel, in sense just to talk about what I'm doing now, which is actually making a round eyeball on this guy. just have it up on my screen just like a cute character, and I think, oh, as a character itself, probably wouldn't make the game, but just the shapes are nice. So in this case, view from above, 3/4 view, kind of like what's going to be in the game, you're definitely going to see his eyes. And if you were on the side view of this guy, you'd definitely see his eyes popping up, like, say, left side. Actually, I don't even know if it goes down that low. His eyes are definitely kind of closer to the top, matching the top, the height of his head. So it might look like that. If he has a mouth, it's probably over here. Meanwhile, his body is kind of like, okay, how do I kind of shape his body? I don't know. Again, if we're looking at the two types of bodies we have so far, the Fire Moogu are this finish. They have a weird slouch to them, and even the position of the legs don't exactly say I'm a fast guy. I mean, there's here you see the slouch happening there, and his knees jutting forward. But it still seems like the thinness of the ankles, the lower legs, like the calves, you know, it definitely feels like them being that thin that, yeah, there's something fast about this character. Whereas this guy, I want to feel slow at all points. I really don't like, you know, I think big and a bit stocky without being, you know, fat. I don't like having to think of them as fat when maybe it's just their natural state. They're just kind of this shape. Also, oddly, kind of like seeing a movie that might have an actual butt crease. Had to have Maddie kind of remove the crease from the Fire Moogu's rear end that we were working on today. Sorry, what I'm doing now is adding a song to my playlist. You Don't Know Me by Leon Bridges. It's off his new album that just came out this week, I think. I just have it playing in 1 year right now, and it is the first catchy song off this album. And I want to make sure it is added to one of my playlists so I can always hear it over and over again. You Don't Know Me, You Don't Know Leon Bridges. Check that one out. Alright, back to Moogu. did I remove his legs? Or was that the other guy? I'm trying to think of characters. Oh, you know what? Pillow. I'm not sure if this is like a normal technique or for animators, but I've seen it a few times of where to create just movement in illustration and animation, they draw a pillowcase, you know, four corners, up on one edge, just to see what, and they do a lot of twisting and turning with the pillowcase just to show like, look how much personality you could show just this simple shape. Here, I'll probably draw one. It's just like, you know, have it up on screen, where it just looks like this. You know, and that's all it is. It's just like, that is pillowcase that is humped over, or, you know, a pillowcase that is I mean, I'm not an animator at all. I did apply to Sheridan for animation way back when. Thank God I didn't get in, because I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed having to do illustrations over and over again. Probably those were 2D animation at Sheridan. Didn't get in, but glad at the same time. So yeah, again, just that is here. That's just like a pillowcase. Simple thing of just like how you contort the shape to really express what's happening here. It just looks like, oh, a little sad or tired or whatever kind of pillowcase. And then the second one's just like, oh, this pillowcase is falling. You know, just so much personality that can be done with just such a simple shape. And I think if you guys just look online for, I guess it's flour sack, not pillowcase. Flour sack animation. Check that out online. You just see everybody doing it. I don't know where it started, but there are so many examples. I guess that's a study that animators do back in school or whatever. So I think I'm gonna try something like that in order to get the proper shape to feel right. Think of some shapes of using shapes first before I actually kind of decide on the cap and feel like this is the type of body I want for this guy, you know, because this feels right, you know, and going in that route of like something like this. And I kind of like not having feet. I was so set on those kind of elephant feet that maybe having something slightly different is okay too. You know, should I have something where it almost feels like toes? I forgot once the texturing is added, I think a lot of personality comes through, and really understanding that, yeah, this is a mushroom. I understand what it is, even though it's the shape of it itself might not really immediately jump at you and say, yeah, this is a mushroom. It's the shape. It's the damn shape of the head, and I don't like. I feel like that is almost too Koopa-ish, especially the. There you go. That's a Koopa. I mean Koopa. A Goomba. Right there. That's a Goomba. Gotta watch out for those angry mushrooms. Where do I place the eye if I don't want it to make it look like a Goomba? Can't see my screen, but I'm looking at skulls right now just so I can see different molded skulls, so I can see how each one placed the eye socket in different areas further on the side, how big they were. Really informs, you know, how the eyes are going to be and where they're placed and the shape of the eyes, and I think it's one of the things. So first I'm like, do I like that as the shape of a mushroom? Probably do, but I'm gonna copy and change it anyway, so I have some options. Got a couple more versions that I can mess around with, so I'm going to I like the action, and this is, you know, I like the action, the pose of the body, even though I know fully well that I'm looking at it from the wrong perspective. So I'm gonna see how else I can. I'm still gonna continue with it. I don't want to have to redraw and do like a shape. I think if I can get it working here, it will lead into a better shape at the proper game angle. But I'll see, because I think I want to start drawing from the top down view, but I want to work with this body shape first because I think it really has a nice action pose to it. Let's see. What if it wasn't really looking up, it was just wide? Actually, can I do that? One thing that was mentioned to me this week while I was working on these was a comment Wayne made about one of my older drawings. Let's see if I can pull her up. When I was first doing the next set of Moogu long ago. Here, let's see what these ones look like. Top row, different shape of mushrooms, and that when we have these kind of breaking down the Moogu into like 3 main versions: the zealots, the nihilists, and the naive optimists. When we were still working with that, I did a sketch of this female version of a Moogu. Actually, I'm looking at these. I'm like, I like some of these guys. I don't know why I did away with them. I have these fighting guys here, but that's not the one I'm looking for. Here she is. This one over here. I like both of them, like the colored pink one and then the one beside the lizardy type one. Oh man, totally forgot about her. I think we'll have to copy her and bring her in. Will she be my heavy Moogu? Look how tiny she is. Oh man, to get that character? Well, she can't have arms. One of the things that we mentioned today, well, not today, yesterday, was that mushrooms shouldn't have arms. So, let's see if we can't kind of work her into a way where, okay, she doesn't have arms. Let me rework her. She's a funny little character in the sense of like her hair is actually the mushroom cap itself. Let's see if there's a new way of approaching. It's surprising, like I'm always just drawing new characters that I forget about like the good old designs I had. So this one actually works. Might as well try and bring her back, right? Let's see if it works. I don't know. I don't know if I 100% completely like her still without her arms. Part of, I guess two or three things really struck me. I think resonated with other people that saw this version was that um, was one, she was identifiable as a female character. Um, man, where did I put that layer again? She was identifiable as a female character. Um, use the idea of the mushroom cap in an interesting, inventive way of making it the hair, but not just like round mushroom shaped hair, but it actually flowed and fell down, so it kind of looked like, so you can see the underneath of the cap itself, and then those streams of the hair was kind of like what you see when you kind of look like, when you look at the bottom of a mushroom cap. So that's what is interesting. Her expression herself, like just the black and white version of this one, that kind of oddly gawky expression was cute and funny. Um, and then her hands, like especially here, I just caught them so well. It's just like kind of rubbing her own hands and just kind of unsure about things and kind of supporting herself by holding herself. I thought that was kind of cute too. I think that's what kind of resonated with people that saw this illustration, this version. The downside is that I don't think we're going to have hands, or at least from the reply I got yesterday, that they didn't want to see hands on these mushroom guys. So I'm not sure if the same character now works. I mean, yeah, this is a very rough version, but I'm not sure if the character works now without the hands. But at the same time, I think if I work it a little bit, it'd be nice, see this character running and then you see the hair flowing. And having this body type being taller might work, but I'm not sure if that works for the heavy move because that is a total opposite of the type of body that I was kind of trying to give this character. But I think I'm still in that stage of like, okay, let's try to be inventive. Let's not go to where it's safe. However cute it might be, however cute a character might be, might not always be the best for the game. So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, I come up with something. We got one character down, one Moogu down. We only need one more, so it shouldn't be too tough. But yeah, it's 4 o'clock. Sorry, I didn't get a completed drawing done in this hour, but I think it was a really great session in terms of just figuring things out, little bit by little bit, getting a chance to look at older drawings that maybe I should take a second look at, because there were some good ideas that came out of them, and I shouldn't be so eager to continually just move on and try another drawing without actually remembering some of the good stuff that I've come up with in the past. So yeah, so that is where I'm going to end it for this week. Thanks for joining, watching, and hopefully you'll join me for next week's. Again, same time, Friday, 3 o'clock, here, Stitch Media. All right, talk to you guys later. Thanks, bye.